So, good morning, Joy Nostalg. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our first ever Forward Fridays webinar. No? And before we get started with the program, it will be good for us to begin with a prayer. So, I invite all of you to quiet down, relax as we begin the last weekday of the week and be aware of where we are emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. We begin our prayer in the name of the Father, of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Dearest Lord, we thank you for this brand new day. We thank you for this first ever Forward Friday webinar. Lord, more than anything else, we pray for openness. We pray for honesty. We pray for the grace to embrace our Christian values, which our company strives hard to impart to its employees, for us to learn the skills and habits needed for us to apply these values in our everyday lives and in our line of work. Lord, we thank you. We love you. Amen. In the name of the Father, Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. So once again, welcome everyone to our first ever Forward Fridays. And our guest speaker today is not a stranger to all of us, but let me remind you of who she is. Our guest speaker has 25 years of leadership experience under her belt. She has led various organizations in different industries: insurance, real estate, training, and advertising. Her last stint was serving as COO of a holding company involved in media, renewable energy, and FMCG. After graduating from UP with a degree in architecture, she dove into the world of sales and has risen from the ranks and has led her sales teams to record-breaking targets. Her knack for sales has brought her to lead sales teams across Asia and Europe. She took further studies at UANP under the Strategic Business Economic Program. Because of her exceptional organizational skills, she was encouraged by her company to take HR courses under the Personnel Management Association of the Philippines program. Today, she's a licensed architect, real estate broker, life and variable insurance veteran, and an HR practitioner. She also trained for the John Maxwell certification course as coach, speaker, and trainer in Florida, as well as to become a certified facilitator of the Who Moved My Cheese program by Dr. Spencer Johnson in Seattle, Washington. She also completed the Up Your Service course under Ron Kaufman and also a member of the Toastmasters Club International. Her forte are her signature team buildings and motivational seminars in leadership and personal growth. Under her own company, Trans Global Services for Professional Entrepreneurial Development Incorporated, she helps individuals and corporate clients in sales, customer service, image building, and presentation skills and goal setting. So to talk about tenacity and grit, may I please, we would like to welcome Ms. Tzarina Saldana. Good morning, Ms. Tzarina.
Good morning. Good morning, Jello. Good morning, Joy Nostalg. And thank you for welcoming me back. And today we will talk about tenacity. Okay. So, Jello, shall I begin?
Yes, ma'am, you may. The floor is yours, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. I'm going to share screen now, my presentation. Give me a sec. Okay. I hope everybody can see my screen. Okay. All right. Great. So let's begin. Okay. So as usual, I'm standing up because we are going to talk about tenacity. And tenacity, I think it's the best Christ should value that you have that is reflected on my personality. Among all your Christ should values, this is probably my favorite because it's closest to, how excited and energetic I am always. And I hope I can share that energy with you this morning. I know it's a Friday, you're on dress down mode, and you're already looking at the weekend. Maybe there's already more time for the family, and some of you, I think, are you still work from home? Jello? Sorry, I will have to call Jello
That's
only
okay,
all
ma'am.
the
It's
time.
okay. Well, many of us are in the office and some of us are at home. Depends on our function. No? So it's less people in the office now.
Oh, okay. Well, these days, they're not normal anymore, right?
Right, right.
In fact, people are saying it's the new normal. I like to call it a better normal. Why? Because, guess what? We will not go back. We will not go back anymore. You know, that's what crises do to people. They disrupt our lives. And they make us move forward. Wala nang balikan dun sa dati. No more. So you have to be ready. And you should have that mindset when you go to the better normal. Some people will say, better? Hindi naman better. Ang hirap ng ganito, ang hirap ng ganyan. Let's get over the complaints anymore. Let's just move forward. And this is one particular value that everybody should have, tenacity. So, what is tenacity? Right? What is tenacity? In my presentation, I said tenacity is spelled as G.R.I.T. Grit. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you more about that later. Let's talk about tenacity first. Among all the definitions of tenacity, I found that this was my favorite. Tenacity is the ability to hang on when letting go appears more attractive. When letting go is easier. When giving up is more convenient. And that's when tenacity should come in. You know, a lot of businesses, unfortunately, in the last 4 months have given up. Some have already let go of some people. But look at where you are right now. You're sitting in the office, sitting at your homes, working. And then you will ask me, maganda ba yun, coach? Working nga. Eh kasi nga, yung iba wala na ngang work. 'Di ba? You are working from home. You have work and you even have a home. Not everybody has work and not everybody has a home where they can really come home to and be with their family. Some of our poor fellow men, what, they only have a box, right? But you have a home. So if you're working from home right now, I want you to take a look around and whisper a little thank you. Appreciate what you have. And if you're at the office, again, look around. Sabi sa Hamilton, uso Hamilton ngayon. Look around. Why? Because you still have work. Now, how will you treat that work these days? You have to treat it with tenacity. So, what is tenacity? I will now go through how it is spelled because when I put this session together, this talk together, I said, you know what? I think tenacity is not just composed of one word, one feeling, or one activity. I think it is really composed of all these four factors. So let's begin. Tenacity will begin with G. Goal. Goal. I know there are so many speakers. Ako nga yung speaker nyo, di ba? The first time on commitment. And what did I say during the new year? Set a goal. Oh, but what is your goal now? It's already July. Half of the year. Yung mga pinangarap natin nung June, medyo nag-fly away because we were not prepared that in last March 15, everything changed. Even our goals. Suddenly, we look at goals now differently. We look at them as, "Hi, wala na. Yung mga tinuruan ko ng who moved my cheese, wala na. Natapon na nila yung cheese board nila. Sabihin nila, wala nang pag-asa. Wala nang pag-asa for this year." That's not true. You see, why is tenacity, or why is goal rather, part of tenacity? Because tenacity is a feeling. It's aggressiveness, it's assertiveness, it's a go-go attitude. But it is a controlled go-go attitude. You still have to have a vision. Hindi ka pwedeng tenacious lang. Tenacious is the adjective, right? Hindi pwedeng tenacious, tapos gung-ho attitude, pero parang headless chicken. You just go around, sige, bahala na. Live it day by day. Of course, yes, that's true. But that's survival mode. Naka-survive na J&G. That's why you already have this trainings. Why? Because it's time to move forward. So what I want you to do with your goals, obviously, I'm not gonna ask you to set anymore dahil nakaset na kayo eh. What do you do? Now you have to revisit, you have to review your goals. You have to decide to either revise, change, add, maybe withdraw some of the plans and move them to next year. It really depends. But what is important? What is important is at this time, you should have a very clear goal of your personal goal and what is the company goal. Dapat may alignment. Ayan, hindi tumama. Ayan, alignment. Ang hirap na may salamin, hindi tumatama. Okay, alignment. Hindi pwedeng, oh, bahala na. Basta yung pamilya ko kakain. Bahala na yung kumpanya. Hindi pwedeng ganun. Hindi din naman pwede yung kumpanya. O basta kailangan mabuhay tayo, bahala na rin kayo sa mga pamilya nyo. Hindi din ganun. There has to be an alignment now. Why? Because 2 or 3 people working together in a spirit of harmony, right, is far stronger than just doing it solo. Ngayon natin na-realize that no man is an island, even if you're, in your homes. Thank God for technology. Can you imagine during the Spanish influence sa mga 1918 yan? Wala silang technology. And they were just cramped in their homes. So you have to take a look. Oh, bait din ni God, ah. Biro mo, nung nangyari to sa generations natin, may technology. What was the last, I'm going to ask you, I want you to think, what was the last major disruption that we had in our generations? Kasama na dyan na traditionalists, baby boomers, Gen X, Y, Z, Alpha, ano pa ba yung mga tawag sa mga generations? Lahat yan. The last major disruption that the Philippines and the world had was World War II. 1940, so about 46, 48. Mga 1939, nag-start sila Nazi, 1939. Hanggang mga 48 yan. Tapos wala na. Tapos na. And we just went and, we just lived our days up to March 15. Right? So what is important now? This is a major disruption. But I always define disruptions as just a halt in our current goals. But move on. And the way to move on with your goal is to align your personal goal to your company goal. Para sabay kayo. Otherwise, you're being tenacious, useless. Kailangan may direction. You got that? Okay. So that's G. Let's go to R. Ayan. Resilience. Look at the screen. Resilience is the ability to recover from a major adversity and a major change. Dalawa yan, ha? Adversity and change. Look at where we are right now. Di ba adversity yan? Adversity ang hirap. We were trapped in our homes, stuff like that. We don't have transportation, blah, blah, blah. We have to wear face masks. Adversity, hirap. But people always mistake resilience na, o sige, kaya natin to, bangon tayo, di ba? Parang bamboo, we just go with the flow. We just go with the swaying of the wind, di ba? Gumaganyan tayo. Sabi na, Filipinos are very resilient. Wait, wait, wait. Ito yung problem with Filipinos are being resilient. Ang definition ng resilience ng most of us is that, o sige, eto na eh, mahirap na. O sige, tanggapin na lang natin. Wala na tayong magagawa. Hindi yan resilience, mga kababayan ko. Resilience, ang tawag dyan, resignation. You resign. You resign na eto na kami eh. Wala nang magagawa. Hindi na masaya ang buhay. Life will not be the same. So I'm going to just survive for the rest of until December, or even let's just wait for the vaccine. Let's just wait for the COVID. What? Don't! Kasi we're still alive. Teka muna. Hawakan niyo muna yung sarili niyo. Alive ba kayo? Are you alive? Are you warm-blooded? Check niyo muna. Kasi baka parang zombie. You know, walking dead na kayo. Don't. Why? We're still alive. That's why, look, true resilience means you are able to recover. Yes, there's a pandemic, but here's the change. And I'm gonna recover from the change. That's why I don't want to call it new normal. I wanna call it better normal. Lagi namang may new sa buhay natin eh. Ayaw nga natin yun. Then let's look at it more positively. Let's call it a better normal. Right? So, tenacity nyo has to have a goal, and then say to yourself, I'm gonna go and overcome this adversity, and I'm gonna overcome the change that's going to happen. For you to be able to go and recover from the change, you have to get out from your comfort zone and move to your courage zone. Atapang at tao. Okay? Atapang at tao. Di atakbo. Di atakbo sa COVID. Okay? Be resilient. All right. So that's G. That's R. Let's talk about I. What is I? I is initiative. So remember, tenacity to. Tenacious ka. Okay, I have a goal. Okay, I don't care. I already recognize my circumstances. I have an adversity on the left and I have changes that I have to go through. That's fine. Okay, now what do I do next? I need you to start. I need you to initiate. I need you to start being creative. In my, syempre magpa-promote ako, no? In my YouTube channel, I think I talked about so many things. I talked about get out of the box. Why? Because this is the time that I need your bright ideas. I think I talked about light bulb moments in one of my videos. Get that creative juice flowing. Ano bang pwede nating gawin to actually recover from the change? Not just from the adversity, but from the change. Yung itong system natin work from home. I remember when I was talking to some of you, you said, oh, ang daming trabaho. Kahit Saturday, wala nang time sa family. Oh, ayan na, 50%. Nandun na sa bahay. Ano naman na reklamo nyo sa bahay? Oh, ang hirap naman. Wala kaming internet, wala kaming connection, wala kaming ganyan, etc. Hindi kami makahinga, hindi kami maka-makeup, hindi kami maka-outfit. E di mag-makeup at mag-outfit kayo sa bahay. Eh, nasa sayo nyo naman yan eh. Initiate nga eh. You know, it's been 4 months and I'm in training. And I do suddenly all my trainings are online. But and the reason I am able to do the YouTube videos for me is that, guess what? I'm so motivated. I initiate. Why? What do I initiate? I initiate on putting on a nice dress. I put on makeup so I don't get crazy na parang iba. It's not different. You know, it's just that I'm talking to your screen, but I'm talking to people, right? I can see your faces. So let's start doing things. Let's initiate. Instead of complaining what you lost, what about thinking of what you may have in this better normal? Initiate. You need to begin. Okay? G.R.I. One last. To spell grit. Timing. Tenacity, again, sabi ko, hindi yan sugod na sugod. Kailangan law of timing. This is a John Maxwell, one of the irrefutable laws yan of leadership. The law of timing. And what is the law of time? What does the law of timing say? It says, when to lead is as important as what to do and where to go. Diba? Where to go is your goal. What to do is your initiative. But when? May timing. Look at the screen. Okay, we're gonna look at the 4-quadrant style here. And let's look at what the results of timing, good timing and poor timing, what do they do with us? So if you look at the screen on the upper left, your quadrant 1, if you do a wrong action at the wrong time, okay, ano mangyayari? Disaster. So yung COVID-19 nyo, dadagdagan nyo pa. So mali. Right? Now, if you do the right action pero wrong timing, right? In quadrant 2, resistance. Ayan, mag-aaklas na naman ang mga tao. If you go to the bottom left, your 3rd quadrant, if you do the wrong action but the right time, ha! Mali. It's a mistake. It's a mistake. But look at quadrant 4. If you make the right action, the right time, then you will have success. I'm talking now to the management, to the bosses. Leadership is law of timing. There is a place and time and person and resource for everything. Timing yan. And not all will get it at first. Maybe you'll pass through disaster, wag naman sana. Will pass through resistance. Maybe sana short time lang. Because that's a matter of change. It's an attitude. If you make mistakes, that's fine. Why? Because it's only when you make mistakes that there is progress. You learn from them. But, kung magaling na kayo, your experience, you know, right action, right timing will give you the greatest result. Talagang successful. So again, tenacity is also timing. So if you notice, when I say tenacity has to have goal, resilience, initiative, and timing, what does that mean? Tenacity is a feeling that it's not just suicidal. Hindi ka harakiri. Hindi ka nagpapakamatay. Hindi ka yung, go ako positive ako. Hindi. It is calculated. It is focused. It has a direction. You got that? Now, I think at this time, I'm going to show you a video, okay? So it's a short video, 2 to 3 minutes. Kung ako sa inyo, I will suggest that you put your screens, put your video, your audio in the maximum para mas feel nyo tong video na to. Now, some of you might have seen this video already. Please indulge me. But because I love this video so much. Okay, so please enjoy for about 2 minutes. I'll just set it up. So I'm gonna disappear first.
A snake's eyes aren't very good, but they can detect movement. So if the hatchling keeps its nerve, it may just avoid detection. a near miraculous escape.
Ma'am, you lost audio. You lost audio.
Hello? Did
Hi,
you get?
ma'am. Yeah, we're
Okay, you
good.
can. Were you able to watch the video?
The video was kind of buffering, but I think it was still sensible, no?
Okay, so you got at least how it worked, right? In the end. Okay, let's go back to the presentation now. Okay, so hopefully some of you got it. And for those of you who didn't watch it, it's on YouTube anyway, so you can review. But why am I, there you go. Why am I talking about this? Okay, why did I choose that video? So you have two teams here, okay? You have the snake team and the iguana team. Okay, because I cannot really see all of you, I want you to think about this and I want you to role play. I want you to put yourselves in the shoes of either that snake or the iguana, although they don't wear shoes, obviously. So if your surname, apelyido, if your surname begins from letter A to M, half of the alphabet, I want you to be team iguana. Okay? If your surname ends from N to Z, then I want you to become Team Ahas. Ay, ang pangit. Parang Team Ahas, di ba? So, snake. Kasi, di ba, ang snakes kasi parang laging evil, no? Snakes are always depicted as the villain. Snakes are always the antagonist. So, obviously, si Iguana, yung bida natin, siya si protagonist. Tapos, si Team Ahas natin is the um, antagonist, yung ating kontrabida. Now, I want you to take a look at this. You see on the slide, we said tenacity is grit. G is goal. What was the goal of the iguana? What was the goal of the iguana? The goal of the iguana is to survive, right? I have to get out of this, I have to get out from this snake pit. But let me ask you this. Did the snake have a goal? Yes. Right? The snake had the goal, and that is, I need my lunch. And so, I'm going to try and kill the iguana. Point one for Team Iguana, point one for Team Snake. Both have goals. Look at R. Resilience. Diba? Resilience is the ability to recover from adversity and change. Look at iguana, right? Was the iguana resilient? Yes. He saw the snake and he needed, there was a time that he was like, okay, I'm gonna freeze first. And then he said, wait, I'm gonna get killed if I just stay here, so I'm gonna change. So definitely, Team Iguana, you were resilient. But let me ask Team Snake, were members of the Team Snake also resilient? Yes. Because when they saw that they cannot, or they could not catch iguana, that single snake, di ba? What happened? As iguana ran through the field, everybody started helping out. They had to change tactics. So were the snakes resilient? Definitely. 2 points iguana, 2 points snake. Look, initiative. Si iguana ba may initiative? Oo naman. Obviously, I want to survive eh. So he had to think of bright ideas when he got caught. Remember, if you saw that part when they got, they all coiled, he said, oh, wait a minute. I have to, probably kick harder, struggle, wiggle more, wriggle more, and get out of it. Does Team Iguana have initiative? Of course. Eh, si Snake, oo naman. Dami nga niyang in-initiate eh. Pwedeng solo attack, merong mountain attack, ang daming attack. Galing ng Snakes, di ba? Team Snakes, 3 points. Team Iguana, 3 points. Timing, oo naman. Both of them. So if you look at that, 4 points tie ang grit ni Snake at 4 points tied ang Iguana. What am I telling you, my dear friends of J and G? Even if we're so tenacious, tayo yung mga bida, di ba? Yung negative forces around it, yung mga negastars, tenacious din sila. They will try to bring you down. They will try to negate all the positivity and energy that you have. They are as tenacious as the Joy Nostalg people will be or are. Equal yan. So you feel, in fact, you feel the struggle within you eh. One day you go, okay, I'm going to be energetic, I'm going to be positive. And then the other day you'll say, ay, pero what for? So kahit within yourself, there is a snake and an iguana. So remember this, every time that you're becoming positive and all, you think of yourself, oh, I'm going to be team iguana today. And when the team snakes are hissing, you have to do these things. The next following steps I'm going to teach you. Because guess what? The positive and the negative forces are equally tenacious. And that's dangerous. So how can we, as a company, how can we as employees, how can we as management be able to beat the negativity who are as tenacious as we are? Let's see. Okay, here we go. What do you need to do? Number one, you have to, whatever you're doing, you have to do it every day. What does that mean? It means consistency. If magaling ka, you're doing this at this pace, let's say you finish your reports in 2 hours, every day, dapat ginagawa yan. If every day you wake up at 8 o'clock because you're gonna start work, wake up at 8 o'clock, be as energized. If you say, I'm going to, uh, I'm going to make it a habit to always, let's say, okay, at 8 o'clock, I wake up, I'm gonna read my emails, I'm gonna do it every day. Not because you're working at home, you're tinatamad, you're lazy. Why? Because you're still in your pajamas, at least the bottom half. Okay? Do it every day. Be consistent. Be consistent. Number two, do more. Do more. So, if you are working from home, I'm not saying work overtime and do that, but that's really up to you. What do I mean? It means add more effort kasi yung kalaban natin ngayon, una-una yung COVID-19, it's an invisible enemy. So small, so invisible. The negativity, the economy, lahat ng naysayers. Yan. So what do? You need to do more. You have to exert more effort. You see the picture on the screen, that's Mount Everest. Why did I put Mount Everest? Mount Everest is the highest mountain, right, on Earth. And people want to climb it. Do you know that Mount Everest, I'm not sure, baka naman may nakaklimb na sa Joy Nostalg. They have 6 base camps. May camps yan eh. Okay? Pagdating mo, every camp, that means you go higher and higher. So you get to a camp, you start at base 1, and then you go up to base 2, you go up to base 3. Kumbaga parang you re-energize, no? You get supplies first in the 6 camps. But as you go higher, the oxygen level is getting thinner. So it's harder to breathe. Camp 6, which is about, I'd say about 17,000. I'm not sure, no? 70,000 feet. The oxygen is only 30% than the usual. So it's harder. But people still go to the summit. Why? Because there's more to climb. It's gonna be harder, but they're trying to do more. Why? Because your goal is on top of Mount Everest. It's gonna be harder this year. We all know that. But yet, people still go up to Mount Everest. Why? It's there. Sabi nga nung first one, si Sir Rupert. The goal is there. Life is still here. So live it up to the max. Live it up to the summit. That's where your goal is right now. Now look at number 3. Do it differently. What do I mean with do it differently? Do it differently means innovate. Joy Nostalg cannot go back anymore. No company should go back anymore to what they have been previously doing. Why? Because situations have changed. People have changed. Resources have changed. Timing has changed. Right? Risks have changed. So you have to think. Remember, initiative, you have to think. You have to do it differently. You've got to innovate. Okay? So remember, consistency. How do you do more? How do you do more than the negative factors? How do you become more tenacious? How do you exhibit more grit? More grit, rather. Number 1, consistency. Next one, Mount Everest, raise your standards. And number 3, innovate. Innovate, innovate. Okay. Now I'm going to do something different. Okay. I'm about to wind up. Okay. So let's stop share first. Okay. Before I say thank you, just stop share. This is stop share. Okay. All right. Now I know you're in your homes and I know you're in the office, but I'd like you now to stand up. Pwede? Stand up tayo, stand up. Can I have the screens on the panelists?
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Okay, thank
So
you.
guys, let's all open our videos. Kaya ba?
Kaya ba natin i-open? Okay.
Sige, wait, hold on.
Okay lang? Is it hard, Jello? It's okay. I can just I can adjust here.
Sige po. But we have a correspondent right now on the other side of the office, no? Si Lordan. No? So Lordan, are you there? Can you hear me? Meron tayong news correspondent.
Ay, parang GMA.
Oh, nga. Hey Lordan, you there? Good morning.
Lordan, pasok.
Lordan, pasok. So how are things there in our accounting wing? Sige. He's probably still setting up the webcam, ma'am. But I think we can continue naman.
Oh, ayan na.
Yan na. Baka malakas yung bagyo dyan.
Oo, grabe. May mga ganun tayo. Okay. Si Miss Joy. Miss Joy? Nakikita kita, Joy.
Oh, I just can't, my video. Jello.
There. Yeah, I'm making you all co-hosts para kaya nyo.
Hello.
Hi! Woo!
I'm standing
Okay.
up.
Huh?
Yes, I need everybody to
Pwede.
stand up. Kanina nakita ko na si Miss Badet. Baka Miss Badet can
Okay,
stand up.
pwede.
Medyo nababas na yung audio niya. Okay lang yan kahit sasabihin nyo, oh, nice! Ito ba ang
Okay lang po. Naka-short lang ako.
Oo naman. Top portion lang tayo. Hindi tayo because I want you to remember being tenacious. Remember, this is Forward Fridays. It means it's action. So we've got to act. Okay. Parang tahimik naman nasa accounting. Ay, gumalaw na accounting.
Stand, baka
Dito
idalo.
na po yung...
Ayan,
Jeffrey.
accounting. Where's
Chico.
accounting?
Stand up muna po. Thank you.
Can we all
Ayan,
show
ang saya.
ourselves?
Okay, yung mga nasa bahay, please join us. This is just a
Okay,
small
there you go.
exercise.
Hello.
This is just a small exercise, everybody. And this is so great for you need this mga material, sabi ko nga. Okay, all right, great. Everybody stand. Sabi na accounting, Diyos kong gulo-gulo ng tangga ni Coach, so ano pinaggagawa. Okay. Now I can see everybody. Now remember, what did I say? Team Ahas and Team Iguana They're as tenacious. So you have to do the three things to get over the negativity. Do you agree? 'Di ba, no? Mga nega
Yes.
kasing ingay din eh, 'di ba, natin? So kailangan you have to do it every day. You have to do more and you have to do it differently. So are you ready? Okay. Do it every day. Let's jog in place. Can we
Okay to
jog in place? Do it every day. Accounting, let's go. Jog in place. So do it every day. Do it every day. Do it every day. Now when we talk about do more, we're gonna do a little
Let's go.
Pacquiao. Okay, do more is a jab. 1, 2. Okay? Do more. So jab yan, parang si Pacquiao. Sa forward, yan. Do more, 1, 2. Do more, 1, 2. Do more, 1, 2. Accounting, di nagja-jab. 1,
Counting,
2.
come
Sabi
on.
na accounting, 1, 2. Sabi na, hindi tayo titigil. 1, 2. Okay. Do it differently is different. Look at that. Uppercut, right uppercut, left hook, right uppercut, left hook. Ready? Because you have to do it differently. Di ba? Ang boxing, hindi naman pwede puro ka lang jab. Kailangan may uppercut, may left hook. Okay? Are you ready, Joy Nostalg? I want some energy. So, do it every day. Jog in place. Jog in place. Do it every day. Every day. Consistent. 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 Do more. 1, 2. Do more. 1, 2. Do more. 1, 2. Do more. 1, 2. Do it differently. 1, 2. Do it differently. 1, 2. Do it differently. 1, 2. Thank you, Joy Nostalg. Yay!
Okay.
Okay na ba, accounting? Sabi na accounting ko, hindi na kami makahinga. Naka-face shield pa kami. May mga ganyan-ganyan pa. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
And
guys.
thank you, thank you. The floor is now open for question and answer from the panel. I hope you've learned a lot. Be tenacious. Biglang hiningal ako, no? I forgot I'm 50 years old. Whew! Okay? But every time you hear, and every time you see an iguana, every time you see a snake, you now get a feeling of what to do. Consistency, raise your standards, and innovate. That's how we're gonna survive, and that's how you practice tenacity. Back to you, panel. Thank you.
Yay.
Yay, thank you, Coach
Thank
Ai.
you. Thank you so much.
Yes. Sandali
Thanks.
inom akong tubig.
Thanks, Coach, for the very energizing and meaningful webinar. So as what Coach said, it's time to ask questions. No? So for our viewers and at home, or in the respective office areas, you may type down your questions in the chat box or in the Q&A box here in the webinar format. And at this point, our panelists here can begin asking their questions. So good morning, panelists.
Yes, good morning, Jello. Hello, Ai. Good morning.
Hello, Miss Joy.
Hi. And thank you so much for gracing our first ever Forward Friday. There's a reason why you're the first. Because we wanted to get everything moving. And Forward Friday is all about that. So it's really a call to action. And also we got a lot of good tips from you, in terms of the habits and the skills that we want to develop, particularly for tenacity. So thank you. So for me, what struck me the most in your discussion today was when you mentioned about looking at it as a better normal, instead of a new normal. And which means that you also mentioned about if we look at things, not, how do we let go of things, and how do we develop that habit of, appreciating the present moment. Can you give us more tips on that, on letting go and just looking at things? How do we look at things presently and now? What attitude shall we take as we take a look at where we are now?
Okay. It's very hard, Joy, to generalize because it's very situational. Because we don't live in the same homes, we don't have the same work, no? The commonality is we do have work and we do have a home and we do have families. Okay. So I want to answer the question through a story. Is that all right? Okay.
Sure.
Okay. So think of it this way. In India, the way to maraming monkeys sa India no? Nakakalat lang yung mga monkeys. And the way to catch a monkey is to use a cage, no? May cage yan na may maliit na window, tapos meron, pero butas sa ilalim. There's a hole. So, there's a banana hanging. So, imagine ganyan yung cage, there's a banana hanging. If the monkey, what happens is, there's a small window, the monkey will have to put his arm inside the window to get the banana. Can you imagine that? Okay, so nakaganon, di ba? Tapos nakaganon yung, kukunin nung monkey yung banana, so papasok yung kamay niya. Hahawakan niya yung banana. Shook! Do you know that the monkeys do not let go of the banana? So all the people only, what they only do is to just pick up the cages and ayan, dala-dala nila, nakasabit yung monkey kasi hawak niya yung banana. And that's, I think, what we have right now. We are hanging on kasi to what we had in the past. That we forget that there is a now, there is a present. No? And we have to learn for us to have freedom, for us to be happy, for us to get out of our quarantine fatigue. Baka, like the monkey, we have to open our hand because freedom is actually very easy to get. You just have to learn to let go. So what are the examples that you want, for example, to enjoy the present, no, and move forward? Stop comparing what was before. Tapos na yun. Tapos na kasi yun Okay? You have to accept. Parang journey of loss and gain yan. You have to really accept. Tapos na dapat yung denial, tapos na yung anger. You have to accept already what you have. If your situation is work from home, then work from home. Your situation is the position. Let's say a problem is an internet connection, then solve that because that's a problem. If the problem is wala kang motivation, then you have to solve that. You have to identify what's wrong with what's going on and then solve it. Did I answer your question, Joy?
Yes, and thank you for giving us a story, to illustrate,
So just learn what to hang on and when to let go. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
What about anyone from the panelists? Do you have questions so far?
None, but I just wanted to say that I really hi, Coach.
Hi.
Yeah, I just wanted to say how much I appreciated when you starkly contrasted the difference between parang resilience and resignation, because I really feel like we can't parang emphasize on that enough. Because it's so ingrained into our psyche, I guess, maybe the colonization or whatever, diba? We have some sort of like parang, not naman slave, pero that kind of mentality na whatever is thrown at us, oh sige, yun na lang kasi ganito siya, right? But I like how you really define resilience as somehow going beyond those circumstances and doing something else or getting something out of it. It's like, it's not just handed on to you. We have a conscious decision to make something out of it or to make something out of what we're given. So I really appreciate that. And thank you for just bringing that up today.
You're welcome, Charmaine. Remember, it's our choice to become the victor or stay as a victim. Right? Nasa sa atin naman yan Sometimes kasi we're abused as Filipinos because we always smile, we have short memory, mabilis tayo magpatawad. Okay naman. Kaya lang, do something. Diba? Do something. Just don't sit down. Do something.
Thank you, ma'am.
Para pala tong binibining Pilipinas. And the next judge, okay? Ngayon lang nag-panel na online O sige, okay. All right.
Do any
Okay?
of our other panelists have any questions to ask?
Yan. Accounting busy na eh.
Hey, Coach.
Yan.
Yeah.
Yes!
Okay, so I was really motivated and I felt very lucky na kasali ko sa panelist. Okay, so dun lang about resilience. Resilience ulit. Ang ganda kasi nung ano na yun, nung portion na yun, recovery from adversity and challenge. Siguro yung question ko dito kasi di ba we have our professional life and we have our family life. So yung napakabigat lagi na challenge is when you have adversity or change happening in your personal life or family life and professional life at the same time. So paano yung pag na yun? Ang hirap to be resilient. So how can you advise us to cope up with this with these challenges na or adversity and change happens from so that's
You
ang area na napaka-importante sa buhay mo.
Yes, yes. You know, Badet, I like to also ask everybody's indulgence because I don't like to sound like parang, very messianic, very hallelujah na it's easy lang yan, ganyan, mahirap yan. You know, when I go through my problems in life, my life is not perfect, very far. Tawag namin dark ages. Okay? Pag may dark ages yung pamilya namin, tawag namin dark ages. You go through it and the way we call it ages, it means it's not gonna disappear in one day. No, that's why we call it dark age kasi yung haba. Sometimes it lasts for 2 years. Parang maximum natin, no? I'm talking to my daughter. Mga 2 years tayo. 2 years yung dark ages. Okay. Dark ages yan. So there is just like what you are going through, kungari, your personal and your professional life, they clash. Right? So now you have to go back. This is the importance of goal. This is the importance of goal. Kasi you need to go back para yung North Star. Kailangan bumabalik ka, tumitingin ka ulit. Teka muna, ito bang ginagawa namin sa family namin? Ito bang ginagawa ko sa professional life ko? In line with my North Star, which is the vision. So North Star is like your lighthouse. Gagawa ka kasi ng lighthouse eh. 'Di ba? Parang 'di ba sa ships, 'di ba? Para hindi sila mawala pag gabi, may lighthouse na malakas yung light. So pag nawawala sila, they look for the lighthouse and then sail to the lighthouse. So I will always say a lot of times the professional and the personal goals they clash. But what I've told you this morning is I want you to really force it to align.
Yeah.
You have to have that compromise. You have to have that alignment. Otherwise, you will always be in the dark ages, Badet. Kasi something has to let go. Di ba? Yun yung kanina sinasabi ko. May part na ile-let go, may part na lalabas para makapag-join. Kasi kung pareho kayong nakaganyan, wala. You understand? So somebody has to, kailangan may bibigay eh. That's why, this is my personal, I really don't believe in work-life balance. I believe in work-life integration. Because you've got to integrate your work into your life and live your life. Work is just part of it. There are other parts of it. Okay, Badet, did I answer your question?
Yes, Coach. Thank you for that.
Okay. Baka tugtugan kasi ako. Di ba parang sa Oscars, pag nag-award ka, masyado ka mahaba sumagot. Okay. Hindi ako pwede sa binibining. Okay.
Thank you.
Haba ako sumagot. Okay. Anything else?
Hi, Coach. I have a question po.
Regine, ikaw ba yan?
Yes po.
Sige, okay. Kasi hindi ko makita yung mouth mo na nagbumut. Okay, go ahead.
All right. So, since majority of the population in our company are young professional, please give us more advice, ma'am, or tips how to develop or increase a grit or adversity quotient, especially to the millennials or younger generations.
Okay. My daughter and I usually fight about this, because, well, she's a millennial. Well, no, she's Alpha Gen. And she would tell me, kasi nga, ito yung direction. There's a lot of idealism with the millennials. Kami mga oldies, kami mga 50. Okay? we always look at it as hard work and experience. So how do we address the millennials? The question is, am I correct, Regine? How will the millennials increase their adversity quotient? Right?
Yes po.
Okay. Let's not okay. Ha 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 ha. Okay. I'm thinking of a better way to answer that question. You have to think millennials. Actually millennials and everybody else. You have to think that you're not alone. I will tell the millennials this baka. Kasi yung mga oldies medyo, yung mga tayo mga senior, wag naman senior, seasoned, Nax. Seasoned, di ba Miss Joy? Seasoned. Sinama talaga kita. Okay.
Okay lang, sumahan kita.
Samahan mo naman ako dito, okay? Kasi parang puro bata yung sa screen. No? Medyo na-insecure ako. Okay. So, Miss Regine, I will talk to the millennials. Okay. You need to understand that you're not alone. Whatever you're undergoing, whatever you're going through, hindi ho kayo nag-iisa. Because sometimes millennials, and I'm not generalizing, but most of it kasi is because you did not get the ideal situation, mas mabilis kayo ma-depress, mas mabilis kayo maging emotional. Parang feeling nyo bumabagsak na lahat. The sky is falling. Right? That's why I need you to just get a grip of yourselves to get the grit. You get what I'm saying? Remember that you can ask for help. We're not expecting you to be super women and men. You're not superheroes even if you grew up in the age of Avengers. Okay? You're not. So that means ask help. You're not alone. If you need coaches, kaya nga uso ngayon ng coaches. Dati kami, hindi naman kami uso dati. Walang coach nun. No? But for millennials, you need coach. You need a life coach. You need kausap. You need a counselor. You need a buddy in the office. Maybe I can suggest that if you have like yung parang sounding off sessions where you just share it and let it go. But that's really the point. You have to understand, for you to be better at handling adversity is to understand, number one, is that you're not alone. You have a team with you. Your family, your office mates. Find somebody. The other, diba? If you have found the one, or this is the one. Diba? So, that I believe is the first thing that you need to do, because all other steps will follow. As long as you realize, hey, I can get help. Hey, I should talk to somebody and share with that, so that medyo mas matibay yung loob, because you're not going through it alone. Kaya maraming nade-depress, maraming nagsusuicide. Our suicide rates are getting higher, especially with the younger generation. Why? Because you feel you have the burden of the world with you. So let me send this message out to the young ones. Kaya sinasabi ng mas matatanda sa inyo, nadaanan namin to at buhay pa kaming gaganda pa rin namin. Naks. Kasi nga, it's okay. Because we're not saying that the millennials are weak. We're just saying, hey, we are with you. You don't have to do this alone. This pandemic, we're all in this together. Sabi nga ni Zac Efron sa High School Musical. Diba? So, okay, Regine?
Yes po. Thank you, Coach.
You're welcome. Anything else?
Okay,
Hi,
before we
Coach.
move
Good morning.
there. Hi, sir.
Yes po.
Jeffrey.
Ma'am, I'd like to ask a question po. With this present situation po natin that when we left our homes, there's a virus, there's no mass transportation and recession and layoff of our jobs. How can we encourage our colleagues to be more tenacious when we are easily discouraged po?
Well, you can't share what you don't have. You can't give what, sabi ko nga, what you don't have. So it all begins with you. Kahit anong payo ninyo, even if you tell them, oh, you can do it, tapos nakikita nila, medyo ikaw mismo. Diba? Sabi ko nga, that's why I showed you that video. Sabi ko nga, sorry if nag-buffer dun sa iba. Just look at it in the YouTube. It's iguana versus snake. That's why I showed you the video so that you have a visual. Every time you're feeling down, you're being team ahas. Every time you're not a good example to others, you are team ahas. And nobody wants to be team ahas. Everybody wants to be team iguana. Di ba, sir? Mr.
Yes
Nang, good
po.
morning. Nakita kita pula. Di ba? So, how
Yes
do
po.
you tell your colleagues to how do you tell your
Encourage.
colleagues encourage? You've got to do it yourself.
Okay.
'Di ba? Ano 'yan eh? Monkey see, monkey do. 'Di ba? 'Di ba? Parang kailangan makita sa inyo. Hindi kayo pwedeng ikaw si Superman tapos biglang ikaw yung hinang-hina. Ikaw pala yung may dala-dalang kryptonite. Hindi ka makalipad. You want to
Yes.
get everybody to fly. You want to get everybody moving forward and, doing this. Kaya nga, I taught you the moveset, the stance. Para every time you see somebody na lulugo-lugo and somebody who's negative, bigyan mo ng jab. Huwag mo patamaan, ha? Pero sabihin mo kunwari, ano bang pangalan? Kunwari lang, let's say Janet ang pangalan. Oh, Janet, 1, 2, remember? 1, 2. So that they get that with those movements, even if you're not saying anything, pwede mo ito na, hoy, remember, di ba? Dalawa yun, ha? Hindi isa. Dalawa, ha? Okay. Okay. All right.
Right.
Gets, Jeff?
Yes, ma'am.
Very
Thank
good.
you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Coach. We have 2 questions from the audience. No? So the first is from Miss Nina. She said, thank you again for the very energetic and engaging session. Much more for reinforcing that tenacity is a habit and that we need to stay motivated despite challenges. So it's a comment pala. No, it's a comment. So thank you, Miss Nina, for that.
Thank
And we have
you.
one more question here by an anonymous attendee. If one is no longer happy despite being tenacious, how can one let go without the action seen negatively?
Parang may hugot yung tanong.
Yeah, okay.
Parang may hugot. Parang kinakabahan ako. Parang HR ang kasama. Okay. So, can you repeat the question?
Again, napatay ako ito. If one is no longer happy despite being tenacious, how can one let go without the action seen negatively?
Okay. I'm going to answer that really point blank. Because I don't feel given your 100%, to be very honest about it. Because being tenacious means you forget everything and just move forward. In other words, start fresh. Kaya nga initiative, di ba? Initiative. You have to start fresh. You have to start from step 1. But if you have baggage already, may dinadala-dala ka na, it's hard to be tenacious. So you have to get yourself into the mindset first. Teka, sige, ulitan. Let's look at this better normal. For example, ang start ng better normal ng Joy Nostalg, I'm not sure when you went back to the offices. Maybe it's June 1. Okay? Naguguluhan na kasi ako sa GCQ, MECQ, ECQ. Sabi nga, ang bago ngayon, MMCQ. Alam mo ba yon, Mr. Nang, kung ano ang MMCQ? Matera matibay. Ang quarantine natin. Okay? So, yeah, diba? So what do I mean? When you say, despite being tenacious, I would think that you already have something before you decided to become tenacious. So I want you to reverse your thinking. What if you remove first whatever baggage you have and then really start, really begin your tenacity? Kasi hindi siya, because every time you become tenacious, there's that lingering thought that baka I will fail. Sabi nga ni Yoda, di ba? What did Master Yoda say? You do or do not. There is no try. So I think you're just trying to be tenacious. So please do become tenacious first. Okay? Total, anonymous naman, di ba? Yung question. Okay. All right. Is there anything else?
Okay, before we move over to the discussion within the panelists, are there any more comments, questions? Okay. So at this point in the segment, no, it's time for us panelists to have a discussion among ourselves. No? So, panelists, you are free to ask one another questions or in order to elicit insights. Okay. So let's begin.
Ay, kasali pa ako dito. Kasama ba ako? Sorry.
Pwede po, ma'am. Pwede po.
Sige.
If you have insights po.
Okay. All right. Sige.
Okay.
If you don't mind, is that all right, Mr. Nang, Jack? Or I'm supposed to get out of this already? Ano na ba?
No. You're the resource person.
Okay. I'll just sit down. I'll just don't mind me. Please continue. I'll just move my camera. I'll just sit down.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I wanted to ask siguro si Carlo. Hi, Carlo.
You're on mute, Carl.
Hi, Carl.
There you go.
Na-energize ka ba sa session today?
Yeah.
Diba? It was so...
Energized na yan for Carl.
Energized na. Okay. What's your key takeaway? Ano yung natutunan mo today that you can apply siguro sa work life natin?
I think yung sometimes it mashes everything together. There's grit. The last item is timing, but it won't really take off. So I think yun.
Sir Carl, I think you're quite
Carl,
choppy,
you're kind of choppy.
Carl, you're choppy.
Okay. So I'll just
repeat ulit. What you said, if we will ask you to repeat.
My key takeaway would be the importance of time. Kasi diba, there's grit, G.R.I.T, and the last one is timing.
Okay.
You won't really take off.
Okay.
Okay. So, sorry, Sir Carl. No, the audio is kind of mahina. No, so if you want, sir, you can type your answer in the chat box for people to see. No.
Okay.
All right. Okay. You just type it na lang, Carl. Okay. Anybody else? No, with a key takeaway.
How about si Miss Badette? Hi, Miss Badette. Good morning.
Yes, hi, Badette.
Hi, Miss Joy. Okay. So, ang daming maganda. Ang dami kong magandang take-away talaga. Yan o, may notes dami. The first thing I appreciated na talagang na-relate ko is yung having goals. Kasi minsan we thought na we're tenacious, akala natin malakas na malakas tayo, but then pala strike anywhere lang pala tayo. Wala naman tayong goal na hihit. Akala natin nakakayanan natin lahat, but then wala palang direction yung ginagawa natin. So this is a very good point yung getting ourselves to set, kahit na matatag tayo, but then walang goals, wala rin talagang direction. And then I also love the explanation for the resilience, going out of your comfort zone and be courageous. Take courage to face the adversity and the changes. So I think for this, what I can say, it takes experience. No, it's a lot of experience to really be resilient. So resilience is not just resignation, as what the coach explained earlier. So it's your ability to get back and recover from all adversities and challenges. But then it takes experience. Yung minsan, like for myself, marami ng mga nagdaanan na adversity. So nagiging mas calculating ka sa moves mo, nagiging mas sure
Kanina nandyan siya. Wala na ba siya?
sa mga actions mo. So it makes you more resilient, not just with direction. So not just resignation na tanggapin mo na ito na yung situation ko. So it takes really a good experience in the past na para makarecover ka in all the adversities. So siguro matanda na rin talaga ako kaya ang dami ng mga experiences. Yeah, so I guess those were the good points that I caught from the very energetic webinar for today. Thank you very much, Jello, for inviting me.
Anytime. Glad you're here. Thank you. Okay. Are there any more questions?
I just wanted to ask Ai, no? Kasi you mentioned about resilience, diba? Sabi natin is overcoming both adversity and change, no? That was your point, no? Yung sinasabi mong adversity, no? Meron kasi mga taong is adversity quotient, 'di ba? Meron mga taong malakas yung emotional intelligence. Meron din malakas yung adversity quotient, no? Meron ba silang difference or ano ba yung characteristic ng isang taong malakas yung adversity quotient? Ano ba yung mga ginagawa ng mga tao? Ano yung nakikita mo sa isang taong malakas yung adversity quotient?
Okay. I don't, without really sounding religious here, you know, I mean, to not propagating any religion, but I've always, one thing that is so common with people who are very resilient is a very strong faith in God. So, ito yung sinasabi ko kanina dun sa kay Miss Millennial, si Miss Regine. May support. When the human side hindi na kaya, you know that there is a higher being that is overlooking everything that is happening. So, I think that's one common trait of whether you are emotionally, your EQ is very high, your adversity quotient is very high, because you know you're not doing it solo. You're not alone. And I think a very strong faith in God, regardless of how we call Him, I think keeps us grounded, keeps us hopeful. Because hope, I think, is the breakfast of the people who are resilient. No? You always have to have hope.
Okay, thank you, Coach Ai.
Thank you.
Well, that statement by IE or by Coach TGS, I think is really the spot on. And I've always been sharing with people, with all of you, with a lot of people, wherein and in fact we have that every day, all the time, and that is that we have to be strong in different aspects of life. And I think a lot of us understands about, and it was discussed a while ago, and for many times, about being strong intellectually, being strong emotionally. Of course, a lot of our younger colleagues here are very strong physically, you know, and some of us actually became stronger first socially, because we all started growing up in a world wherein we are immediately or easily accessible to one another because of the internet. But one thing that we have to be strong first, if I'm not, if I may say so, like what Coach TGS is saying, is that you have to be strong spiritually first. If you are not strong spiritually, all the others are going to easily crumble. No matter how strong you are. I mean, you can have the strongest body in the world, etc., but you have the highest IQ in the world, but when your sense of faith, when your sense of understanding about how life really is, things will crumble, no? Because obviously, and if it's not yet obvious, please make it obvious already, is that the world does not move around individuals only, diba? And obviously by now it doesn't. Like this entire COVID thing, obvious pa. This is not something that can be conquered by the greatness of humanity, di ba? Kasi kung kaya, hindi pa nga dapat ito naging problema. in the first place, right? So kung sobra tayong believe sa sarili, this is what will happen to us. In fact, countries that have suffered so much are the countries who sobrang believe sa sarili, and countries who did not, countries who fared very, very well, on the other hand, are countries who humbled themselves, who did not believe that they're so great in everything, di ba? I think the Philippines is still figuring out which side to belong to, right? Para tayong sigurong namimili pa kung which is which, no? But obviously, we want to be where the countries are, wherein they have fared very, very well. And if you're going to look at it, these countries that fared very well are not because they're either they're rich or poor. In fact, you have a lot of examples of countries that are rich and are poor, who have fared very, very well. And so it's not a matter of their IQ. It's not a matter of their their wealth, right? It's really a sense of it's a sense of knowing that this is beyond them, no? And whether it is spoken or not, like what Coach I is saying, whether it's spoken or not, the fact that they respect the disease, the fact that they come together in a very humble fashion and getting everybody united as a country, rich or poor, shows, is an indication that there is a regard for something bigger than them. They have a regard for life, that life is bigger than them, diba? And whether it is spoken or not, that is already a great sense of spirituality, of recognizing that there is a higher being, right? That together, if they work out things together, they can help each other and conquer the problem, and be hopeful, as what Coach I is saying, and continue to be hopeful. And it's because that they are hopeful that they keep on doing things to improve, knowing that if they just keep on doing things to improve, that things will be better. It's a virtuous cycle. It's a virtuous cycle. One feeds the other and then feeds the other again and again and again. So I guess that's a very important thing, that you have to have a sense of if you're strong spiritually, you're going to be humble naturally. And if you're humbled naturally and you're strong spiritually, it's almost second nature. It's going to be very easy, automatic for you to be tenacious. It's automatic for you to conquer adversity, because hindi ka sobrang believe sa sarili, that obviously hindi mo man talaga kaya. And so when you realize na natalo ka, ang bigat, the world will really feel like it's crashing on you. Kasi to begin with, kala mo ang galing-galing mo. Kala mo ikaw na yung pinakamagaling na tao sa buong mundo. But in fact, if you humbled yourself and you do it the other way around, and you humbled yourself, you realize that your life does not revolve around you, diba? Then you realize that, well, I'm not that. I have these limitations. I have this things. And so when those limitations really shows up and shows and you fail or you don't succeed because of those limitations, it's okay. Because you're honest with yourself and you say, well, that's my limitation. And in fact, because you're so honest with yourself and you're humbled, it's probably a lot easier for you to ask for help. And people help people who ask for it, you know. And so because you ask for it and you help and you ask for help, in fact, chances are you will actually most likely succeed than failing because you've asked for help anyway. And if people are help and if you're humbled, people will want to help you and say, "Oh, okay, to, bet naman ito," and you'll probably succeed more often, di ba? So, uh, sometimes, sometimes if you're quite humble and you ask for help, sometimes even yung mga kalaban mo ang tutulong pa sa'yo. Because sabi nila, oh, okay, even in the world of sports, I think you get to see that. Where in certain teams who are very, very good, would like to, is rooting for other people to be their opponent. And sometimes they're not rooting the weakest person to be their opponent, but rather a very good team, they want to root for people who's going to really challenge them because they want if they win, they want to win with the honor, knowing that they've faced the greatest team. So sometimes even those champion teams or what, they will also root for the other teams, and they're not going to necessarily root for the weakest team. They'll root for, in fact, the best team will root for the next best team to be their challenger, di ba? So that's what I think real tenacity is. I mean, the characteristic of tenacity. Diba? Parang bring it on. Parang naka-on yun parate. But at any rate, sorry to just go on, but the point made by Coach Ai is the last point that you made is a very fantastic point, wherein we recognize, we acknowledge that we do need to be first and foremost strong spiritually. Yeah. Yun. Ay, wala yan sa UP, no?
Wala, it's called the School of Life. That's why sabi ko, the millennials, don't worry, you'll get more. You'll get more chances of living this life. You actually nga had an advantage. You already have a head start. You have an adversity. You have COVID-19 to your belt in the beginning. Diba? Because some of us, we lived 50 years in prosperity. You know, no wars, no problems. That's why it's so hard for some of us to, when now that we are getting knocked down with COVID-19, some of us are not doing very well in facing the challenge. Pero kayo millennials, think of it this way. Sabi ko nga mindset yan eh. It's a mindset. If you take a look at it, my gosh, if we get over and we overcome COVID-19, our generation, di ba? Ang strong na natin. We're ready for, di ba? Sabi, ano pang mas harder dito? Parang ganon, di ba? Kaya, it's a matter of mindset, everyone. But I like, Jack, what you said. I Mr. Nang. Napa-Mr. Nang ako. Okay? I like what you said that the teams root for also other teams, di ba? And they help each other. What does that mean? And I like to go back to the question of the millennial kay Regine tsaka kay Jeff. It means that what we do right now, your action has a, di ba, laws of Newton yan. An action has an equivalent reaction. Di ba? So it also has an opposite reaction. So dati kalaban nyo, di ba, galit sila sa inyo, ngayon, they're helping you. Isn't that an opposite reaction? So that's what I mean. If we are conscious that by being tenacious ourselves, by being spiritual ourselves, by being strong, nakakahawa kayo. So you have to check yourself always. Ano yung, it's not COVID-19 that's contagious these days. It's negativity. It's putting people down. It's really, parang it's fear. Fear is actually the greatest bacteria, virus that is spreading. So even if we're in masks, I want you to remember, everybody, what are you spreading? It may not be the COVID-19, but it may be the negativity. So, lalo na in the office, yan, no, nakikita ko ang accounting, tabi-tabi. Isa lang ang nega dyan.
Precious skin.
Diba? So, you know.
It didn't even reach you.
Well, thank you for that. It's these are things that are good to really share and talk about with with well. I'd really hate to say this because that means the opposite is equally true. Is it's good to share it with younger people. So that means we're older people.
Seasoned
But
nga, seasoned.
seasoned. Okay. But I think the other side also is by not focusing on negativity, right? And obviously that means let's focus on positivity. Let's focus on hopefulness and what do you call this? Having a sense of goodness all the time, rather than it's the end of the world, etc., etc. I think the other thing that to make that strong in us, to make that happen, diba? What to do naman, I think, is there is a need for us to be imaginative, and I think when we are hopeful, it's easier to be imaginative, and when we're not, when we're like what you said, when we're fearful, which by the way is the opposite of love, right? If we are fearful, wala nang imagination, no? We will lose that out easily. And I think Coach TGS and I we were friends way back in school, and we finished architecture. And I think architecture is is a field wherein, oh boy, pwede ba magkaroon ka naman lang ng konting imagination, di ba? Kasi kung wala kang imagination, that's it. We're in the business of imagination. Can you imagine an architect na walang ka-imagination, patay? And I suppose that's what I would like to share with everybody is you have to have an imagination. You should without imagination, then there is no wonder. If you don't wonder, then there's no way that you'll stumble into a solution, because a solution has to be seeked, it has to be formed, it has to be figured out. Solutions just doesn't fall down. Just bling, just pops up. The same way that problems doesn't pop up, right? May pinanggalingan yung problema, may pupuntahan din yan na solution. And I think the path towards problem to solution, di ba, is imagination. And I remember when, for those of you who are already alive, there is this 9/11 incident wherein that changed the face of travel. If a lot of you are wondering why is it that when I'm going to ride the bus it's so easy, but when I ride the plane it's so difficult, diba? It's the same situation lang naman. The only difference is one is on wheels, the other one is on air. So why all of this? And that's because of 9/11, right? Because people, the terrorists used the airplanes like missiles and crashed, in effect, bombing, using airplanes to bomb, in effect, iconic buildings and structures in the US, diba? And I remember that the U.S. Congress created a commission. They call it, I think, the 9/11 Commission. And they wanted to find out how in the world did this ever happen in the first place, and how in the world were they not able to figure that out, and how in the world will they be able to be prepared for something like this next time, so it will never happen again. And I remember that they came up with a very thick book, and the day that they presented, it was a very long presentation. They talked about all the things that have happened from beginning to end, et cetera, their their findings and all. And then they came up with all sorts of solutions on what they should be doing next, et cetera, et cetera. And I distinctly remember, finally, one of the last comments, I think, made by the commission was simply, sabi niya, if I were to simplify this is not the exact words, but in effect, sabi niya parang, if they were to sort of simplify the problem, it really boils down to three words. And it's FOI. It's not freedom of information, but it is failure of imagination. And they simply said, the reason why we failed, the reason why the terrorist was able to do this and we were not able to counter that, sabi niya ganyan, is because we simply did not imagine that scenario. Kasi sabi niya, you know, itong Department of Defense ng US or yung FBI, yung all these different agencies, sabi nila, alam mo, ang gagaling natin, ang dami natin senaryo na isip. Pag lahat ng mga, as a matter of fact, maraming senaryo na naisip na hindi pa nangyayari. Kaya lang kung mangyari man yan, handang-handa tayo. Kasi naisip natin yung senaryo na yan. That's why our military, our police, etc., we're prepared for these different scenarios. Ang problema, itong 9/11, hindi natin na-imagine yung scenario na yan. Because we were not able to imagine that scenario, we did not prepare. We were not able to prepare for that scenario. So it's interesting how, you know, the brilliant people, you know, military generals, FBI, CIA, blah blah blah, of the U.S. They simplify the problem into simply saying it's a failure of imagination. And so I guess that's what I like to impart with our group today, and for our whole Joy Nostalg family, is that on the one hand, of course, you have to be strong, but on the other hand, have a great deal of imagination. Start wondering, and I suppose that's where Coach Ai was saying is, can we just forget all those baggages, you know, and just, you know, set them behind, you know. You've already checked into the hotel, so can you just set your luggages behind, and can you just enjoy the fact that you're already now in this hotel and you're now in this new place, and instead of figuring out why are you not back at home. Teka muna, in the first place, you were the one who started traveling, right? It's called life, right? So can you set your baggages down and start enjoying the hotel that you're in, and start enjoying the vicinity of that hotel, and start enjoying the place, the environment that you're in, and start imagining how you can enjoy, you know, because you cannot do what you cannot think of. You cannot enjoy anything. You do things because you get to think about them, and because you get to imagine about it. So I suppose it is very important to have a strong sense of imagination. When a problem comes in, all the more it's very important to have a sense of imagination, because that's the one that's going to say, okay, how do I solve this problem? Do I do it this way or do I do it that way? You know. And at the end of the day, I remember Reggie. I don't know if Reggie is with us. Reggie's one of our architects in our design management team. He's the president, I think. Oh, gee whiz, Reggie, I'm sorry, you're president of which UAP chapter? I really forgot. But Reggie's a president of a UAP chapter, and one of the things I remember he's pushing and he's telling everybody is, meron siyang slogan. Ang slogan ni Reggie is something like, get yourself an architect, something like that. If you have a problem, then get an architect. Get an architect to to help you solve your problem. And I think if you don't have an architect friend, get an architect friend, because an architect friend is very good at imagination. Architects are always faced with a problem. Every time we talk to somebody, even the simplest of things. Can you design me a house? Can you design me this? Can you design me this? It's always somebody's problem, right? And architects are there to solve their problem. They don't know, they want to do this, and so they solve that problem. And then guess what? An architect does not a template of solutions. Every time an architect starts designing, he or she always faces a blank piece of paper, right? It's always a blank piece of paper, or in today's time, i.e., it's a blank screen.
Yes.
Apparently, very few uses a pencil and starts drawing on paper.
Goodbye T
Yeah.
squares.
Everybody just face a blank screen. But nonetheless, right? We all start out with a blank screen and suddenly come out with something. It's a solution. Suddenly we have this building. Suddenly we have this structure. Suddenly we design a city. All right? Excuse me. So it's obviously possible for anybody to be tenacious. It's possible for everybody to be imaginative. And if it's hard, find yourself an architect friend. Right?
They have na. I'm their architect friend.
You're the architect friend. Diba? We're trained. We're problem solvers. We're opportunity seekers. And but boy, you do have to be you do have to be tenacious to be that way, diba?
Oh yes.
So yeah,
oh, yes.
I'm a little biased because I'm also I also studied
You're their architect boss. So ewan ko if they can that you're their architect friend. So ako na lang yon. Ikaw yung architect boss. Ako yung architect friend. Okay, safe zone daw, safe zone. Okay.
Well, yun, I just I thank you for that. You sort of ignited some thoughts that it's very much worth sharing.
Glad
So
to be
yeah,
of help.
Yep. Jello?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Nong, for your insights and for your sharing, no? So, once again, Coach Ai, thank you for being with us here for our first ever Forward Friday session, no? And it's an honor to have you as our first ever speaker for our new segment, no? And we hope that we will have you soon again for another Forward Friday session. So once again, ma'am,
Sure.
in behalf of Joy Nostalg, thank you very much. And thank you to our panelists and our guests from EMU, si Ms. Padet, and from CBU, Sir Jeff. So thank you very much. Thank you very much, guys.
Jello?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
So thanks everybody. Jack, thank you for continuously inviting me. Thank you for
Yeah.
keeping me as a and part of the roster of speakers as well. I invite, pwede ba mag-promote? Pa-promote na ako.
Sure.
Uy,
Oh,
I'm
go
on
ahead.
YouTube. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel Coach TGS, and you'll get to hear me any time of the day. The latest video is time to declutter the Marie Kondo way. Naks. So, there's a lot there. Please subscribe, I cannot do a TikTok. Hindi ko kaya yung ginawa ni Mr. Nang. Okay. Pero baka one day, let's see. Okay, so I hope everybody subscribes. Ilan ba ang Joy Nostalgia? Pa 300.
Ayan.
O yan. Gawin mo na executive order.
Oh, yan.
Nako.
Everybody, please subscribe to Coach TGS.
Yay! Thank
Yan.
you. Thank you,
If
everybody.
not,
Nako.
patay.
If not, okay. Ayan, it's your architect boss talking, ha? Thanks,
Overnight, you will gain
everyone.
300 more
Salamat,
followers.
salamat.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Goodbye po. Have a nice day,
Okay,
everyone.
bye. Bye,
Bye,
everyone. Bye, Zach.
everyone.
Bye-bye.